Welcome to the DevReady podcast. Joining me on the DevReady podcast today, I have Joni Pirovich. For those of you that are new to this podcast and don't know how I run this, I've never actually met Joni before, so I don't know much about her. So I'll let her take away and introduce herself.
Thanks, Anthony. Good to
Not a,
be here. Well, I'm Joni Pirovich, the founder of a crypto legal compliance and risk software company called the Crystal Agentic Operating System, or the AOS. And prior to that, I founded Australia's leading crypto specialist law firm called Bedazzle. It
is
stands
that
for
how you said
Blockchain
it?
and Digital Asset Services Plus Law. Most people like to call it the badass law firm, and I'll take it
Yep.
because the only rule of Bedazzle is you have to be doing something in crypto, and we are full stack. So whether it's your taxes or regulatory, litigation, labor, from the business side to the individual side, we can help you and connect you with international equivalents to me if you need
Okay.
it. So going
Do you,
from the legal services into software and automation and agentic workflows to
yeah.
make the compliance headache easier.
Do you still run the law firm now?
I do, yeah, but I've had to throttle it to have more time to focus on Crystal,
Yep.
but it's synergistic in the sense that Bedazzle is a power user of Crystal,
Yep.
so I can get through more work in less time with reduced risk. So it's
That's
symbiotic.
that's the great benefit that software can bring to any business that you operate. How did you get into the crypto space? We'll
A
start
long
there.
time ago now. And for anybody that has been in crypto for a couple of years, once you've gone down the rabbit hole, it's very hard to get out. You initially think that it's just a way to make money, but actually, the more that you get involved, you realize that the underlying technology, the blockchain technology, is a new kind of computer system that can touch every vertical in our everyday and our business lives. So, the kind of clients that I get to work with are, from gaming to financial services to sports to retail products, loyalty point schemes. There is such a broad range of clientele that I can work with. But the reason I sparked interest in the technology was I saw an article that said you could program with this technology the calculation and collection of tax payments. So you wouldn't need to lodge tax returns anymore. And that sounded pretty good to me. So I wanted to learn more. And here I am 10 years later.
Okay. Oh, so it's that long. So it's interesting. Yeah, it can be applied to everything, but we still haven't seen that like major takeoff. It's still sort of like a speculative investment vehicle, I think.
Yeah, you could still put it there, but there is incredible movement on the institutional side in the adoption of the technology for
Hmm.
internal operations, but also you're going to start hearing more and more about stable coins. And that's a
Yeah.
type of crypto token that is supposed to maintain a stable value to usually a fiat currency like the US dollar or the Australian dollar.
Hmm.
And those stable coins, their foundations are blockchain technology. So already we're seeing the shifts of major banks and financial institutions move towards issuing their own stable coins, coming up with their own blockchain networks to do so as a way of that programmability and reducing costs, increasing transparency of the transactions going through, which people love. They don't want to pay as many fees as they currently are, and they don't want to wait a couple of days for their money to move where they need it to go.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest benefit is how fast and how cheap it is to actually transfer. You hear stories of someone saying, "Oh, they've moved $180 million in Bitcoin and it took 13 seconds," or whatever it may be. And if you're doing that through the traditional model, yeah, it'd take days and there'd be huge fees or whatever it may be to actually do, if you could even get the money from a bank.
Yeah, it's like initially before stablecoins, all we had was Bitcoin and Ether, and that was so easy to transfer very quickly. But now that we have stablecoins, it's helpful because a lot of people do not want the volatility that comes with Bitcoin and Ether and the tens of thousands of other volatile
Yeah.
tokens. So it's a helpful store of value, but in a programmable, format. And what people love is that they can, what we call custody, or have control of their own balance of crypto tokens in their digital wallet. It's not with a bank or a third party that might change their policy on how you can access your funds or when, or not protect you if money goes through your bank account, like if your identity details are taken from a scammer. But the con to that is that all of the protections and the money that the banks put into protecting us, we obviously as individuals don't have that extent of resources. So
Of course.
with this, the Spider-Man quote, I think, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
that's crypto.
and it is. There's a lot of up and downs. There's a lot of scams in the space as well. So seeing that nations or that more stable coin usage coming out is probably a big differentiator to what's happened in the past. Because so as I mentioned just quickly before we started, we were mining Bitcoin in like 2008 or 2009, very early when we started our business. So we've been in the space on and off the whole time. I don't remember doing that then. I've been in and out of the space and trying to keep up with what's happening and where things are going. But most use cases that I've been seeing in the news are either supply chain management and then linking like farm to plate, farm to table type models. And it's sort of that recommendation. So then the blockchain allows you to then check with knowing that the data hasn't been manipulated by anyone. This is where the source of whatever that may be came from. And then there's the whole other side of, all right, NFTs are going spastic, so let's put all our money in there, and then now they're worth nothing. Or now it's NFCs, and then or whatever it changes to. But you haven't seen more of the like real use cases where the DAOs, those distributed organizations, are coming up, and everyone's got to say it's
Yeah.
not. It's you haven't seen too many outside of the monetary value, I think.
Well, actually, I've seen a lot of great use cases of the technology, but because they're quite complicated to understand still, and it's quite a change to the existing way that you would run your own personal affairs and admin, or how you turn up to work and do your work. A lot of the blockchain based innovation that automates company procedures, governance, investment recommendations, security threat recommendations, like that's so good for the advancement of humans, where they don't have to spend as much time doing a security review, because you've got this open network globally that's got the eyes on the code. And, for some of these protocols, already billions of dollars running through them in
Oh yeah.
transaction volume. So you've got the sense that you can see where your value is sitting and moving. There's incentives globally for the network to approve your transaction quickly, although, there's other threats. There's always emerging threats as we get emerging technology, but then the opportunity for humans to learn and benefit from it is immense. Like once crypto innovation really solidifies in the mainstream, it will be a step up for humanity. But one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about working on these compliance tools is because dealing in crypto is a headache at the moment. To try and do that forensics and teach yourself the skills of looking and tracing for things on chain and backtracking, oh, what did that transfer mean to Anthony? Was it for a payment of services, or was it a gift? Like the blockchain doesn't record that kind of detail, which the bank statements have done so, and so does the typical accounting software. But regulation has chilled and stifled a lot of this amazing innovation for humanity to thrive. But now we're starting to get regulatory clarity, mostly being driven out of the US now. A lot of other countries will follow suit. And once we get those frameworks in place, the rules of the road are clear, and we're going to start seeing more user-friendly marketing of how this particular crypto innovation can fit in your life in a no-nonsense way. Because up to date, all of the resources have pretty much gone into survival and, fighting the regulator or getting a
Yeah.
legal opinion that you can still operate. But with some of that budget being freed up and able to be done on user stories and marketing and better UX, I'm just so excited at the promise of how this innovation is going to spread through mainstream.
Because if you look at like the last cycle, so before AI, it was all crypto. That's where all the tech focus was, all people jumping onto like those hype cycles. But
Yeah.
it never really broke into the mainstream. And that sort of happened like two times that I can see with maybe three times with the like Bitcoin blockchain. When it hit around 20 grand, so that was about 2017, 2018, I think was massive bubble in that. Then it hit was it like 50 or something? Like after that, about 18 months, 2 months, 2 years later, and then just after COVID was the next one. And then AI's come in, and you don't hear anyone talking about blockchain in tech anymore. So
No.
pushing it that, and like you said, I think the regulation did probably slow it down because no one really knew what was possible. You got a lot of people, the crypto bros or whatever they're calling, that are pushing scams or people building these exchanges and making ridiculous amounts of money.
Yep.
But very few people and not much noise being made about the actual real world implications or use of it outside of if you go to the conspiracy side and go, oh, it's all against the dollar and this lets us break free of whatever they're doing and yeah, all that stuff.
Well, that's why you can tell a person who hasn't invested much time in understanding the technology because, yes, crypto can be used for financial speculation and fraud and all of these terrible things. But actually, the undercurrents with governments and with major institutions, like we said at the outset, is that they're investing in this technology on a large scale, a global scale, to be the new rails for payments.
Yep.
And so the use of the technology is, you shouldn't have to know that you're using blockchain technology. You can if you dig under the hood and you can find out, but it's never been the the thing to make a project famous like AI still is.
Yep.
So people will add, an AI powered this or an AI powered that to get more eyeballs or potentially get more users, or maybe it's a defensive or a strategic, like genuine strategy. But blockchain, it's not, because it's not easy to build blockchain based. And now increasingly you need the financial services licenses to go along and deliver services that are on chain unless they're fully decentralized. And that goes into the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization models of governance. Yeah, it's not easy. Whereas anybody can sort of say that they're doing AI with a
Yeah.
ChatGPT wrapper or use of the
Yeah.
AI.
Anyone
Like,
can throw ChatGPT into the app.
yeah,
So
yeah.
on that side, because you're working in the compliance side, you're seeing it from a different perspective. So you're seeing actual organizations probably trying to understand what do they need to do, how do they comply with the laws, not just people saying, what's the next coin that's going to take off?
Yeah, so a couple of examples there, in Australia from almost 2 years ago now, we had the first crypto exchange traded funds. So for brokers that can only deal in listed financial instruments, that meant that in every mum and dad's portfolio managed by a broker or even super funds, and the larger pension funds, that they can now have exposure to underlying crypto tokens through these more traditional ETF interests. So that's where they're sort of seeping into mainstream.
Okay.
But again, once you understand the how easy it is to acquire crypto tokens on an exchange and then transfer it to your self custody digital wallet, you would compare the fees that you're paying in an ETF, which might be nominal anyway, but you're not paying any fees to
Yep.
host it in your own wallet, but you've got the security risk to manage for yourself. So, but the other exciting thing is DeFi, the decentralized finance protocol. So again, once I've transferred the crypto into my wallet and I connect with investment protocols, aggregation protocols, best routing, to get the best price, I can have on-chain asset management done for me without paying the asset manager fees or broker fees or financial advisor fees, which add up to significant amount for a large portion of the population that they can't afford financial advice. And with the
Yep.
few thousands of dollars that they may be able to stack away each year, they can directly put it into these investment management or these DeFi protocols with no fees. other than on-chain gas, which is
Yeah.
like your ticket to play, your toll to play on the road.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, yeah, that's sort of like the reward that the people get who maintain the blockchains.
That's
That's
right. Yeah,
where
the
they earn it
gas
from.
is something that the users pay to use the chain, but the gas fees get collected and then sent to the winning miner or validator, that's essentially the computer that's checking all of the transactions that they're being done in accordance with the protocol.
Yeah. So are you seeing a lot of interest in that space in the local market, where people getting interested in saying, all right, let's move into that DeFi space or the ETFs and bring these products out? Or is it more internal products to add more transparency to the way they operate?
Yeah, so I'd say that we've got the whole spectrum. And on the conservative end of the spectrum is the large, small, medium, and large corporates that want their corporate treasuries with some exposure to Bitcoin. So instead of having Aussie dollars, maybe some US dollars and some term deposits, maybe some equities and debt exposure, that they're also wanting to have a part of their treasury allocated to crypto tokens. And and so corporate treasuries are on the rise for
Hmm.
corporate crypto treasuries, and that's centralized. That's what we'd call highly rooted in humans controlling the crypto tokens. But on the other end of the spectrum, you've got these DeFi or these decentralization first builders that they build primitives. So Lego blocks that if I have this piece of code that gets me, it recommends the best place to earn yield. And then there's this piece of code that can aggregate whenever there's a buy order recommended, I buy on this particular exchange. So all of those primitives, those Lego blocks, it's been very difficult to build that and launch that sort of technology from Australia and from the US, because it's there's an argument that that's carrying on a financial services business and you need a license. So
Okay.
a lot of those Australian developers have moved offshore where there is crypto friendly regulatory regimes or license light regimes that are more fit for purpose for blockchain based innovations. And they've been very successful, moving away from Australia. Our only success stories that have stayed in Australia are probably Immutable, which is a blockchain based game,
Hmm.
and Synthetix, which is a DeFi protocol, but the founder is based in Australia, the rest of the council are based around the world. And we've got sort of a couple of unlisted crypto funds which got into the Bitcoin and the ETH and some other tokens early. So their returns are in the multiples higher than traditional funds that have an equities
Yeah.
and a debt sort of spread.
Okay. So in, I think it was 2018, we were looking at building a blockchain based product when the ICO craze was going on. So it was before the NFTs. We had a product that we thought, all right, it would be, so it was, the product, just background was, it was called Queue It. You would queue up for anything of interest, come back in every day, do a check in and answer a marketing question. Whoever had the best score, which was, if you say you're going to come back at 11 o'clock, you'd check in at 11. How far you were early or after would count to your score. And then that would be a way to distribute tickets to concerts for the people that are the most committed and wanted to do it to avoid scalpers. Right? Perfect target for like ICOs at that point, which was how fast can you get in to get those tokens? And we were going to
Yeah.
build it all and we were ready to launch, and then the whole thing crashed. But that was like a product level where it actually made sense to apply, and it wasn't based on like the financial instrument side of the blockchain product wasn't the driver for it. So I haven't seen
Yeah.
yet too many actual real world use cases outside of what you're mentioning.
Well, and that's the problem, because anything that's a real world use case usually has a financial component to
Yeah,
it.
okay.
That it might be a derivative or an option to buy something of value at a later point in time. And so that's all of that kind of stuff hasn't been able to launch because the regulators around the world haven't been willing to give out the
Yes.
licenses. So now that we are getting that certainty and we are getting licenses, that's why you're going to start to see some genuine real world use cases really start to change your life.
Okay, so it's really, it's the
It's
wave is
coming.
coming.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, but it's coming.
Because I still remember, like, it was the first batch of like mandarins was sent on the blockchain. It was like one of the articles I remember reading, and there was some supply chain platform saying, "Yep," it just gives you more visibility. And the reason for anyone listening, like, what blockchain gives you is visibility into the data or at a certain point in time, because it's all available to anyone to look at any point in time. It's not a closed proprietary database.
Yeah, and I mean, there's privacy protocols that are coming in now to bring back some of the privacy protections. So, you don't necessarily want the world knowing what your salary is each month. So,
Yep.
those sorts of things, there's no harm in granting the privacy where privacy is due, but it gives people more of the option to lean into the open source and the public nature of similar to switching on cookies or saying yes to cookies. If
Yep.
you want the internet to know your browsing history so that you get better recommendations,
You can
then
do it.
you opt in. It will be similar. You'll be able to make similar kind of choices with blockchain, but at the moment there's no opt in or opt out. It's pretty much all public.
Yep. So, what after reading that article that got you interested in potentially what blockchain was because you could do taxes in there, what got you like really invested into saying, all right, this is where I want to focus my time and drive towards, and then build these businesses in this space?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It was never about financial speculation for me. It was about the programmability and what could be done with that. And so I when I started learning about it, there wasn't as much information on the internet as there is now. I actually had to turn up to meetups and hackathons and learn the hard way. And what I found was like-minded people that I really enjoyed spending time with. It wasn't filled with the crypto cowboys. They went to separate events. So I really found a friendship group that didn't just like the programmability, but there's a lot of values that underlie the technology, like the transparency, which also underlies more democratic access to information and to financial services so that you can feel like you're getting ahead, with what money you've earned rather than it being wasted.
Yep.
So those underlying Web3 foundational values, a lot of us that came early to the tech, we had those. So it meant that we were instant and genuine friends. And and so that's why I say the technology, you might come for the financial speculation, but once you've been in it for even a couple of months and then into a few years, it's actually a vehicle to find your online communities, the people who you connect with most.
Because the underpinning like core values of what blockchain offers is what you mentioned there. It's the democratic
Exactly.
access to any information, the transparency, allowing you to control more things, not have government control over every single thing. And then
Yep.
that's where, depending on where you are on the internet, you can then veer off into a certain position with people and go towards like the conspiracy theories and stuff. But it's more that democratic access and having fairness built into the system, which
Yeah.
you don't get anywhere. There's nothing's in our control. It's like most
Yeah.
people are politics. What's the point?
Well, and it's fairness, it's transparency, it's the democratization of access to financial services and just automations that can make your online activities more efficient. And and then combined with all of that, I just love that it's with enough people around the world becoming learning about it, it's the only inertia for substantial system change that has a chance of changing really antiquated and outdated laws. So, you mentioned Bitcoin and, is it a hedge? Is it a conspiracy theory? And, is it going to take over government money? Yeah, there's some validity to those theories. And that's exactly one of the reasons why President Trump has declared a Bitcoin reserve for America. They're their own hedge. If the US dollar goes down, then they've
Yeah.
got a big stockpile of Bitcoin, which is the next potential reserve currency. So there's not financial speculation in that announcement of coming up with a Bitcoin reserve. I think they'll do financially well out of it, but actually in my view, it's also a hedge in case the US dollar does fall. The Bitcoin is the next best option
It's
to
just
be the global reserve currency.
covering their bases, really.
Yeah.
They're planning at a strategic level, then they're just trying to make a quick buck. It's very
Yeah,
different.
there's smart people around Trump. David Sachs being one of the best thinkers in the world that understands traditional finance, technology evolution, and crypto markets and crypto innovation. So, yeah, the longer you spend in crypto, the more you realize it's about system change and Web3 values, sort of being able to catch their breath and not replace the current system, but transform it to be
Yeah.
better.
And it's all possible. It allows everyone to do it. It's access and it's free, so it's just there if someone wants to dive into it and understand it and find those communities like what you found.
And most people forget that the internet took about 20 years before it really received mainstream adoption. And then with the smartphone, it took about 10 years for mainstream adoption, where we had about 80% of the global population using smartphones. And from the Bitcoin blockchain, when it was launched 2009, I think I'm getting that right,
Eight, eight,
eight,
yeah,
the we're nearly 20 years on from that.
yeah. We're not
And
far.
the internet only had to grapple with being a communication layer, whereas
Yeah.
blockchain is both a communication and a financial layer together. So that's why we've had a lot of throttling and chilling and stifling from the regulators and governments to say, no, before you unleash this on the world, you need a financial services license
Yeah,
because they don't
yeah.
want to collapse or have
And then
contagion into the financial economy.
yeah, and that's how people see that as the fear from the government trying to control and maintain
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
control over everyone. On a bit of a lighter note, there, what sort of in the clients that you're working with in the last few years, is there any sort of like exciting projects that you've seen that would be interesting for people to go and look up, or that you see that are coming out now that things are loosening up a bit?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of now public ones that I can talk to. So, Katina Digital is one of my clients that they've announced they've got their Australian financial services license from ASIC
Oh,
to
cool.
mint and sell and redeem stablecoins. So, that's Aussie dollar stablecoins.
Hmm.
And you'll start to see their AUDM tokens pop up in more and more outlets that you're familiar with. And another one is Tori from Equal Labs, who's actually an Olympian. This is a sports-based platform where it we can only really engage with sport through betting online. Like
Yep.
there's no way to really engage as a fan and follow your favorite sports people other than through gambling. And she's building the Equal platform, Equal X platform, where you can follow your sports, your favorite sports athletes, and get involved in where they are, what they're doing, contribute, and as they get, increased profiles, sponsorships, and so forth, there might be an opportunity to share in the financial benefits of
Oh, well,
how
okay.
you've supported that sports person to be successful.
That's different.
So that's another one. Yeah, there's a ton. There's a gaming platform called Fungi's coming. It's really funky and cool. Like the artwork is incredible. It's for creating unique avatars in all of the games that you use, but it's actually an NFT that you own. And
Oh, okay.
whenever you customize it with your skins and your
So you can
accessories,
try and
like
bring
you
the
keep
skin
all of
across
that.
to all different games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
okay. Rather than dumping money in one game and then having to start again in another one, and yeah, help those companies make their money.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there's the really hardcore DeFi protocols, which mostly I help those founders structure overseas, and they do have to move overseas to launch them because Australia's just not there yet. And
Okay.
that's really interesting stuff, like what I was saying, those on-chain asset management portfolios where you can say,
Yep.
I want 20% ETH staking, 30% Bitcoin, and the remainder rolled into maximum yield-bearing opportunities. Like
Okay.
you can construct your portfolios and all of that can happen automatically rather than you paying a fund manager
Yep.
to do it with the human lag and cost that comes with that.
Do you see a lot in that sort of like investment vehicle space? I remember there was one like bricks where it'd be like you could buy a house with 3,000 owners. You own a brick at a time, and things like that concept.
Yeah, that's the tokenization wave where there's the tokenization of a house,
Yep.
into a
Or
thousand
any asset.
brick
Yeah.
tokens. And instead of you having to pony up $200,000 to buy an apartment, actually you can have exposure to St Kilda in Melbourne with your crypto token bricks or your fractions of a token.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that coming. Dubai actually has a regulatory regime for that, so more of it
Oh
is
wow.
happening over there. The stamp duty and the land tax and CGT, that holds us back, as well as the land title, the state-based land titles regime in Australia. We've got a
Okay.
lot of friction before we can really unleash the tokenization of real-world property.
Yep. Okay. With those countries where everything's a bit more open, is it like Dubai? I think it was Malta. Used to be one. I don't know if they still are.
Malta is crypto friendly, yes.
Yep. Are there any sort of other countries that people may want to just look at what they're doing there, or if they want to get any more information?
Well, the sort of hot property, if you could call it that,
Yep.
where a lot of the companies are based out of, is the Cayman Islands,
Yep.
the BVI, Panama, to a certain extent, Isle of Man, Gibraltar, Malta, as you've already mentioned. But for those that want to really embrace licensing, there are a couple of key nations or member states in the EU that you can get a markets in crypto asset license and then passport and distribute your product across the EU.
Okay.
So the more forward-leaning or sort of crypto-friendly states are Italy, France, Germany, Portugal, and of course there's Switzerland, but it's not in the EU, but they've always been crypto-friendly from, since 20 years ago when it all started. They've set up the first crypto foundations.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
More expensive, high cost of living in Switzerland than
Of course.
some of the others, but
So, just before we wrap up, what are you sort of looking forward to with what you're doing in the Crystal operating system, and I can't remember your
the Crystal
badass,
AOS.
yeah, Crystal AOS and your badass law firm. What are you sort of looking forward towards, or what's on the horizon for you?
I just want, my dream is that everybody is using the Crystal AOS. It's like when you open your phone in the morning and you might check your emails or you might check your social media, like the next thing that you'll check is Crystal, because she'll give you the update on like all of your crypto activities, and she'll give you the recommendations on what might result in a financial return, but also which are the communities that you should connect with that align with your values.
Okay.
So my thesis is that every business will become a crypto business and every online activity will become a crypto activity. And so if every online activity then has a value because it's transferable as a crypto token, that has tax consequences and compliance headache. So for people to truly enjoy the innovation and the benefits of what's possible, we need to abstract away the compliance, but it still needs to get done.
Of course.
And so that's exactly the system that I'm building, that it's emphasizing for the enjoyment of crypto innovation and taking care of all of the compliance that still comes with this emerging technology.
Yeah, and that's normally what probably scares people away from trying to get into it and get involved in the space.
Yeah, they'd rather, just invest on the ASX where the ATO gets the dividend data feed and it's auto-populated.
They know everything about everything you're doing then.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go, but I'm the best place to build this system because I've been advising in it for 10 years. So if I don't build it, who else will?
Yeah, exactly. If you know the knowledge, you've got the drive, and you understand
You've got to
that
do
where it's
something
going,
with it.
then yeah, you build it and you're using it yourself, so it's delivering value, and that's the best way to build software.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I built it for myself and then I realized how useful it was. So I thought, I better share it.
And that's generally the best way to build any software. It's you build a product that you get the value from. Yeah, you're solving a need that you know exists, and then the market will be there for it most of the time. And you're in a space where it's untapped at that level, because most people, generalizing here, is It's how can I make a quick buck from it, not try how to build the underpinning frameworks and software that will help manage the use of this technology going forward, which is the take that you've taken.
Yeah, but that's it. Like the mainstream probably have learnt about crypto one or two times, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
But as they start realizing its potential and how it can work for them, we haven't had the mainstream moment yet,
No,
but it's coming.
the mainstream is like my old uncle asking me, "Oh, did you know Bitcoin hit 50,000? Oh, Bitcoin's 100,000." That's all they hear. They don't know what it is. They just hear someone
It's
saying something
Aussie,
about money.
well, it was over Aussie 180K.
Yeah, it got to a ridiculous point.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's getting up there.
it is. Joni, it's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you for your time today. If anyone wants to find out more about you, how can they do that?
Mostly live on LinkedIn. You can find me at Joni Pirovich or email me at joni@crystalaos.com.
Oh, and we'll add all that to the show notes. Once again, thanks for joining me on the DevReady podcast.
Thanks for having me, Anthony, and for all your work. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.